All right, let's jump right in. Today, we're taking a look inside Cambodia's ambitious new national plan. It's called the Pentagonal strategy. And really, it's a blueprint that's meant to guide the entire nation all the way to 2050. So, what's it all about?
To really grasp just how ambitious this is, you have to understand where Cambodia has come from. This quote is actually from the strategy document itself, and wow, does it set the stage. It's just a powerful reminder of a country that has literally reinvented itself, from the killing fields to a peaceful, independent state. That's a huge transformation.
And that transformation, it didn't just happen by chance. It was all part of a plan, an evolution. Back in 1998, you had the win-win policy that finally brought peace. Then came the triangular strategy, which was all about rebuilding after the war. And for the last 20 years or so, we've had the rectangular strategy, which really kicked the economy into high gear. So this new pentagonal strategy, it's not starting from scratch. It's the next logical step in this incredible story.
So, what kind of foundation are we talking about? What is all that past work actually built? Let's just take a quick look at some of the amazing achievements from the last couple of decades.
Okay, check this out. 7%. And that wasn't just a fluke, a single good year. That was Cambodia's average economic growth year after year for over 2 decades. That's a rate of expansion that most countries can only dream of.
And that growth wasn't just some number on a spreadsheet, right? It had a massive, real-world impact on people's lives. We're talking about GDP per capita, the average income, skyrocketing 7 times over. It went from just about $250 in 1998 to almost $1,800 by 2022. That's a life-changing difference.
And this stat really drives home the social progress. Millions upon millions of people were lifted out of poverty. The national poverty rate was pushed all the way down to below 10% just before the pandemic hit. So all these successes, they're not the finish line. They're the launchpad for what comes next. Okay, so with such a powerful launchpad, where is Cambodia aiming to fly to? What's the new destination? Well, that brings us to the core ambition, the big vision that's driving this entire strategy.
And trust me, it is a big one. The single overarching goal for this next 25-year cycle is to transform Cambodia into a high-income country by 2050. That right there, that's the North Star. Everything we're about to talk about is designed to get them there.
So you might be asking, why a new strategy now? Why the big shift? Well, simply put, the world has changed. The strategy is pretty upfront that Cambodia now has to navigate some really complex stuff. We're talking global power rivalries, the huge digital revolution, and of course, climate change. But at the same time, it still has to tackle its own challenges at home, like improving infrastructure and upskilling its workforce. The old playbook, as successful as it was, just isn't going to cut it for this new era.
All right, so with all that context, let's finally crack open the Pentagonal strategy itself. What are the nuts and bolts?
At its very core, the whole strategy is built on these 5 keywords. Think of them as the guiding principles or the philosophical pillars, right? Every policy, every action is meant to deliver on growth, employment, equity, efficiency, and sustainability. It's about making sure that development isn't just fast, but it's also fair, smart, and built to last.
Now, what I find really fascinating is how this shows both continuity and change. The first 4 priorities here, people, road, water, and electricity, they're building on what's worked in the past. But look at number 5, technology. That's a brand new addition, and it signals a huge pivot toward embracing a digital future. And it's also worth noting what's still number 1, people. That hasn't changed.
Okay, so how do these big picture priorities translate into actual action? Well, the strategy is organized around 5 core pillars, or pentagons, that lay out the specific game plan.
And the very first pillar is all about human capital. The strategy makes it crystal clear. Cambodia's most valuable resource is its people. So investing in them is priority number 1.
So what does that actually mean? Well, it means a massive push to upgrade the education system, to make sure technical training actually gives people the skills they need for modern jobs. It also means strengthening the social safety net and improving public health. Basically, the goal is to build a healthy, skilled, and secure population that's ready for whatever the future holds.
All right, Pentagon number 2. This one tackles the economy head-on. The main goal here is to build an economy that's more diverse, more modern, and way more competitive, so it can handle whatever the global markets throw at it.
So, the plan is to move beyond just the traditional industries. And how do you do that? By seriously upgrading the country's core infrastructure. We're talking better roads, ports, and energy grids, and creating a much more attractive environment for businesses to come in and invest, especially in those really important special economic zones.
Pillar 3 shifts the spotlight onto the private sector and creating jobs. It really frames businesses, both big and small, as the main engine that's going to drive the country's growth.
The real focus here is on creating a vibrant, dynamic business environment. That means not just more jobs, but better jobs. It means actively supporting small businesses and startups, the entrepreneurs. And it means making sure the banking and financial sector is robust enough to fund all this new growth, often through smart public-private partnerships.
Now, Pillar 4 looks at the bigger picture, the long-term health of both the nation and its environment. This is all about making sure that growth isn't just fast, but that it's also sustainable and, really importantly, fair for everyone.
Yeah, this one is all about what you might call inclusive and green growth. We're talking about key objectives like promoting gender equality, making sure precious natural resources are managed responsibly, and ensuring that rural communities don't get left behind. And all of this is done while getting the entire country ready for the very real challenges of climate change.
And that brings us to the final pillar, Pentagon number 5. This is the one that's dedicated entirely to sprinting into the future. This is Cambodia's roadmap for a full-scale digital transformation.
And this isn't just a small step, it's a comprehensive digital push across the board. The goal is to digitize pretty much everything, from how the government operates to how people shop and do business. And to make that happen, they're focused on building out the essential digital infrastructure, things like data centers, and really encouraging the growth of new financial technologies, or fintech.
So there you have it, the Pentagonal strategy. It's this incredibly ambitious plan that's building on a truly remarkable history of progress. The document itself even talks about taking national pride to a whole new level, which leaves us with this one big final question to think about. Building on 25 years of peace and progress, could this be the blueprint that builds a modern Cambodia as glorious as the legendary Angkor era?